Hey there, Christine Morel here. Today we're going to be talking about how indie rapper Russ created a multi-million dollar career independently without a record label. Let's go. Russ has some amazing quotes. I love watching his interviews because he's so confident. He's really cocky, but I just freaking love it because he knows his stuff and he's worked his ass off to get where he is. And one of the quotes I want to start out by saying is he said, "You can't sit around waiting for someone to come along and help you out. I was always focused on doing the work, and in turn, that attracted the right people." Russ wasn't afraid to do the work. I find so many people in what I do where they're just like, "Can you do it for me?" Or "I'm so talented, someone should just discover me." And that type of mentality is so powerless and it's so lazy. And these are the same people that are saying, "I want someone else to do it for me, but I want to still maintain control of my music. I want to have control over my record career." Well, you can't have the two. Either one, someone else is going to, invest the money and take all the risk and have to do all the work, and you're going to have to give up those rights. Or if you're one of those people who are like, "No, I got this. I'm strong. I'm powerful. I am able. I am capable." Like Russ, you go, "I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to perfect my craft. I'm going to put myself out there because I not only want to be successful in music, I want to own all my own shit. I want to be successful, and I don't want anybody else telling me what I can or can't do." Now, Russ is in a rare class of his own because there's not a whole lot of independent artists out there who have achieved the type of success as him. You have Nipsey Hussle, you have Chance the Rapper. These are guys that are saying, "I know as much as the world is saying there's no money in music, there still is, and they're proving it." Russ landed on Forbes' top hip hop earners and Forbes 30 under 30. When Columbia Records actually approached Russ for a deal, he was able to secure a few $1,000,000 up front and kept 50% of all the profits. And this is unheard of nowadays. And the way that he was able to do this is only because of one reason: leverage. Look, people are going to say all you need is talent for you to be successful. You will never hear that from somebody who is successful. You're only going to hear that from people who are not successful. And that's why they're not successful, because they think all it takes is your gifts and your talents. Guys, there are a million people out there that are just as talented as you, just as gifted as you, just as cute as you. It doesn't mean that they deserve success. It doesn't mean that you deserve success. Success is going to happen for the people who are willing to put the work in. One of my favorite quotes is by Elon Musk. Shout out to Elon Musk. That's my celebrity crush. And he's like, "I don't got a 9 to 5. I have a when I open my eyes and when I close my eyes." He's working nonstop. And if you want to do something that the world has never seen, if you want to do something that is not normal, that is not like the average person can do, then you have to do more than the average person does. You have to work harder than the average person. If you don't have that kind of spirit in you, you're not going to be able to do more than what everybody else is doing. Russ worked in his basement. At one point he was putting out a song like every week. He was writing his music, recording his music, producing his music, mixing and mastering his music, promoting his music. He was doing everything. He was not afraid to go, "If I succeed or if I fail, it's my fault. No matter what, I'm going to take responsibility for everything. Whether I become a big star or whether I don't become anything at all, I'm going to take responsibility." And a lot of people are not doing that. Instead, we're looking at the world and going, "Oh, it's because of this. I can't do it because I grew up poor, because my mom left, because the world doesn't want me to succeed." That's a loser mentality. It just is. And you can either choose to make excuses or you can choose to make history. That's it. It's your choice. So how did Russ create this leverage? How did he become this hip hop rap phenomena? There are 6 things that he did that are very different than what everybody else is doing. We're going to get into those right now. Number 1, Russ released content. He was consistently releasing content every week, every few weeks. He released multiple albums. I think it was 8 albums or more before he finally had his number 1 on Billboard. He was constantly producing. He was constantly getting his sound out. He was constantly perfecting his craft. People knew that he was going to be creating and releasing content, so they knew when they wanted great hip hop music, they could visit Russ online and he was going to deliver it to them. 2, he built his fan base and he made himself discoverable. He made himself available on all the platforms. He was on Spotify. He got himself on TuneCore, where he was selling his music, where he could actually make money off of the people that were listening and the people that were buying music from him. People could find him. He was discoverable. Number 3, he was able to connect directly with his fans, directly with his followers, directly with his customers, really, because they're the ones buying the music. And so when you eliminate that middleman, I mean, imagine this. Imagine if you have a manager who you're paying 20%, you have a record label who you're paying 50, 60, 70%. You have a distributor who you're paying a percentage. By the time you've sold that album, you've made pennies off the album. But imagine if you sell the album, you directly to your fan, you are now making like $8 an album. That is a huge, huge difference. You can make a hell of a lot more money if you have a direct connection with the consumer. Russ had an amazing quote. He said, you can make millions upon millions of dollars on TuneCore. TuneCore is, one of those platforms where you can get your music on iTunes and Spotify and that sort of thing. He goes on to say, and not have to break anyone off. Stop letting this whole there's no money in the music for artists narrative keep circulating. Shit is a lie. Own your shit and be self-sufficient and you'll cake, or be dumb and complain. And that goes back to what I'm talking about. There's too many people complaining, and he's just saying, hey, be sufficient and you'll cake, or be dumb and complain. You have the choice. You have the power. And saying that other people have to do it for you, or blaming the world for you not being able to accomplish something, is not serving you, it's not helping you, and it will not get you any closer to achieving your goals. Number 4, he sold his music. He sold his merch. He did shows. He wasn't afraid to get out there and connect directly with fans. He was performing a lot. He was selling his music. He was out there. 5, Russ was consistent. He was consistently putting out music. He was consistently releasing music, working his ass off, connecting with fans, doing shows. He had another great quote. I'm going to keep quoting him because I just love the words that come out of his mouth. He said, for whatever reason, whether lack of belief or lack of confidence, a lot of artists coming up sit around and put out one song or one mixtape and think everything is instantly supposed to happen for them. But in reality, they didn't put in any effort. He consistently said, I'm going to put out song after song after song after song after song. I don't care how this song does. I don't care if it hits the moon, or I don't care if it just stays in 100 people see it. I'm going to put it out and I'm going to put out another one right afterwards. He was consistent and he was ruthless. He said, I don't care what happens. I'm sticking with this. I am determined. Number 6, he continued to believe in himself. I was watching an interview where he was talking about how he would put out a song and maybe it only got 100 views. But he said in his mind, he was like, hey, people just don't know yet. People don't know how great I am. And he wasn't like looking at it going, well, 100 views, I guess that means I'm not that good. Do you see how that's a weird perspective? That's like a lower mentality perspective. Well, I guess I'm not that good if I have 100 views. No, instead, he took the higher mentality and he said, no, you know what? People just don't know how great I am. They just have not heard me yet. And when they do, I'm about to blow up. And he had like 8, 9, 10 albums before he hadn't even had a hit yet. But he told Forbes, and this is another quote that I freaking love, man. He said, I always had a crazy level of self-belief, and I thought that every project I put out was going to be the one that put me on top. What I learned is that you must be willing to fail without losing any sense of enthusiasm. It's a very long road, and I could have given up at any moment. You have to keep believing and know that if you reach out to the universe long enough, it's going to turn around and acknowledge you. Preach! Preach, brother. That is so good, man. He was not afraid to do the work. And because of that, he reaped the benefits. Quit with that mentality that someone needs to do something for you or that you don't have it in you. No, I've told everybody my story where I started. I was selling my music going door to door. I used to knock on people's doors. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a home. I've bathed in gas stations. I slept in my car. I've gone through all that. But I had decided that I wasn't going to give up on my dream of doing music. I knew that nothing else was going to make me happier. And because of it, I've traveled the world. I've done sometimes 300, 400 paid shows in a year and traveled 6 continents. I've seen some things that most people will never see. Doing music, doing what I love, it has brought me to so many wonderful places. And I know that from experience. This is why I get excited whenever I read an interview from Russ, because I know what type of dedication it takes. I know the type of sacrifices you have to make. And I know the time commitment. That every day you're going, I am going to focus on this because this is the only thing that's going to make me happy. And I don't care if anybody else believes in me. I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care if anybody else says I'm crazy. Maybe I am crazy to think that I could do what I love for a living, but I would rather do this than do anything else in the world. And those 6 things that he did, if you do those same things, you can create a music career, a sustainable music career as an independent artist. Quit listening to people when they tell you that you can't. Just because they couldn't doesn't mean you can't. I now work with artists to show them how I created an independent music career for myself, how I make a living doing music. If you're an artist, a singer, a rapper, a band, a musician, you're trying to figure out how to do this, you're ready to get started, you've decided that you're ready to go in 100%, and this is the one thing that you want to make happen, you got gifts, you got talents that the world has to hear, then I want you to just check the description below and you can see how we can get started, and I can send you some more information on how you can start creating an independent music career for yourself. Now, the last thing that I want to leave you with was Russ said this during his interview with Forbes magazine again, and he said, they asked him, what are your thoughts after performing for 13,000 fans in Portugal? And this is what he said. It reminds me that I was right the whole time. Regardless of what anyone talks about, clearly I was right. Clearly the type of songs I make, the decisions I've made, the videos I decided to put out, all of those decisions were obviously right. That feeling is incredibly invigorating. When you're standing on the stage staring out at 13,000 people at a sold out show in a country you've never been to, and there's nobody else on the lineup, it just confirms my gut feeling even more. From that moment on, to even think about doubting yourself is ridiculous. I didn't doubt myself when I was putting out a song and getting 100 plays or 1,000 plays. How do you think I feel now? Do you think anyone can tell me anything about how I should handle my career? No. Instead, they should pay attention and take notes. Boom. Pow. Russ said it right here and there. I love his quotes. I love his interviews. Check him out online. He basically said, I am not making excuses. I am making history. Check that description below if you're an artist wanting to get started in building your music career. I'm Christine Morel. I will see you on the next one. I'm always saying no, 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 no.